Today I want to discuss the Lakers' big men and why I think the trio of Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, and Anthony Davis can carry the Lakers to become the best defensive team in the NBA. There's a few stats to look at also when it comes to the Lakers at the center position defensively. Last season, they were 18th in opponents' points in the paint and allowed 47.6 points per game. This was mostly with Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell playing the center position. In the 2019 season, with JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, the Lakers were 8th in opponents' points in the paint. They allowed 45.8 per game. Last season, they were 5th in block shots in the NBA at 5.4. The championship year at 2019, they were 1st with 6.6 per game. As we all know, athletically, the Lakers are better this season with DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard, and I think the sky's the limit. That could only improve these numbers that you see on the screen. On this first play, Kendrick Nunn is going to get matched up against Paul Millsap on the perimeter. Nunn is obviously outmatched and tries to gamble for a steal, which gets him out of position. But the big DeAndre Jordan recognizes this immediately. If he doesn't, that's an easy jumper or a drive to the bucket. With all that said, what do you think Nunn should do in this situation? Well, there's no reason to stay here strong side and double Millsap, because obviously DeAndre Jordan is more than capable of guarding him one-on-one. Nunn immediately recognizes that there's a man open on the weak side, so he sprints to the other side of the floor to pick up the open man and ultimately help the defensive balance. But notice as Nunn sprints to the weak side to pick up Cam Thomas in the corner, Bazemore does the same, and there's some miscommunication here. Overall though, this is a great sign for the defense. All the players are willing to rotate and help each other on the floor. Cam Thomas was one of the better offensive players in this year's draft class, and as the ball is swung to him, he smartly attacks the closeout by both Bazemore and Kendrick Nunn. Now with both of those guards out of position, this would appear to be an easy jumper for Cam Thomas. But DeAndre Jordan decides to leave Millsap and contest the jumper by Cam Thomas. An excellent example of helping your teammates out after they get beat. Take a look at how aggressively he contests this shot. His length is on full display here to try to block this shot. And as the offensive player here, with this type of length coming at you, you're going to have to make adjustments to your shot and your release. And that's the difference between a make or a miss. But what was most impressive to me on this play is the way Wayne Ellington helps the helper. He sinks down to box out Paul Millsap, knowing that the shot's going up. Millsap still gets the rebound here, but it's the effort that counts, and this is an excellent defensive sequence for the Lakers. Second play, clock winding down, high screen coming up, Malik Monk defending the guard Jevon Carter. Actually not a great screen set, but watch how low Malik Monk gets to try to slide over and evade this screen. He lowers his shoulder and angles his body right into the available space. That's an excellent job from somebody that's not really known as a defender. AD is also in the ready position and jams up the driving lane. As far as options go, Jevon Carter could hit the open Aldridge here on a pick and pop. Notice that Wayne Ellington is already in position here to help out. Going back to the ball, Horton Tucker is also stunting from the corner, which further obstructs any chance of Jevon Carter to drive by. There's really nowhere to go. And that creates a one-on-one situation with Carter and AD, guard versus center, with the clock winding down. But again, what's key here is the high contest by AD. This is a difficult shot for most players in the NBA. Long outstretched arms like this not only obstructs your vision, also forces you to shoot the ball with a different arc. And if the Lakers are consistent with this type of contest and defense, it can lead to a lot of bad shooting nights for the opposition. On this next play, take a look at how light on his feet Dwight Howard is here. He's moving back and forth with the offensive player, and this constant activity is key because it disrupts the opposing team's offensive rhythm. It also throws off the timing of set plays that the opposing teams are running. Notice how Howard's outstretched arms is directly obstructing the passing lane here. If your hands are up and active like this, it could lead to deflections and steals, especially if you're going against a below average passer. This is an attacking style of defense that not many players in this era tend to play. Normally, the offensive player is attacking and the defensive player is on the retreat. Because Howard is so active, his hands are all over the place, he ends up getting a strip of the ball, and notice how much time is left on the clock when this happens. This causes the Nets to try to rush their offensive set, and this could easily lead to a turnover in most cases, or in this case, a terrible shot for them. On this next play, Landry Shamet takes the pass and rolls into what is supposed to be a double staggered screen, but DeAndre Ayton slips out early. Anthony Davis sees this and he goes into drop coverage with the rolling big man DeAndre Ayton. If AD doesn't drop here, this is the perfect recipe for a lob play from Shamet to Ayton. So he drops back with Ayton, and watch carefully how AD waits for Shamet to commit and leave his feet before he makes a play on this defensively. Only when Shamet gets in the air is when AD leaves his feet. AD goes up with the right hand to defend the possibility of a shot. And what do you think his left hand is doing in this situation? Why isn't he just going up to defend this with both hands? Well, this is the beauty part of this play. The left hand is there to occupy the only passing window Shamet has, and with Ayton right there behind AD, he's the perfect candidate for a drop-off pass. AD also knows that typically there should be a player deep corner, especially with the way that the Suns space the floor. So the left hand is there to take away the passing angle from Shamet, while the right is there to defend the shot. And of course, AD gets a deflection here, and we're going the other way. That's impeccable defense there, and great use of length by Anthony Davis. Naturally, when a new team comes together, the main issue defensively would probably be communication, and that's been the case early on with this Laker team as well. On this play, Kent Bazemore is icing the pick and roll, sending the offensive player toward the baseline and towards the defender in DeAndre Jordan. The offensive player dribbles into a wall and gives up his dribble. Naturally, when there's a double team on the ball handler, the big man is going to pop out, and that's exactly what Paul Millsap does here. Now, just surveying the floor, Nunn sees the trap on the ball, so he sinks down to guard Paul Millsap. The rookie Austin Reeves should be further up, zoning up between DeAndre Bembry and Cam Thomas, as Kendrick Nunn occupies Paul Millsap. There's no communication by Nunn and Bazemore here, and Nunn vacates early to get back to Cam Thomas, which leaves a wide open Paul Millsap and a frustrated DeAndre Jordan. The shot is missed, but this is something to watch for going forward when the Lakers face good big men that can shoot the ball. I think this year's Laker roster was constructed with a defensive foundation, but the only thing that could really destroy their potential is ultimately effort. Here on display, the Suns are bringing up the ball. Keep an eye on Melo, who is ball watching at half court, while his man Mikal Bridges is streaking down the court calling for the ball. Look at how concentrated the Lakers defense is at this point. There's 4 guys watching the ball. Melo realizes that there is going to be a pass, and now he has to sprint to close out on Bridges, which was 100% avoidable because now he's off balance. Bridges attacks the closeout, but look at Melo's position. He still has an angle to body up and stay in front of Bridges, but instead he opts for the reach around steal, which is a lazy play on defense and hardly ever works. This not only takes him out of the play, but now puts pressure on the big man AD in the paint. Like the play we saw earlier, AD could sink to meet Bridges at the rim while Ellington occupies Ayton on the backside. None of this happens. AD barely moves to stunt at Bridges, and that's an easy layup. The way that this play broke down could be easily attributed to it being preseason, but you want to develop good habits on defense as early as you can in any season. Now this next play is the same concept. Keep an eye on Dwight Howard and Draymond Green. Iguodala had the ball up top. Dwight Howard is looking toward the baseline for some reason, while his man Draymond Green is streaking down the floor. Draymond calls for the ball, but look at how quickly Howard recognizes this. He never breaks stride and gets back into the play. The bounce pass in this case doesn't help because it slows down Draymond and gives Howard enough time to get back into play for that chase down block. Excellent aggression and defensive effort here by Dwight Howard. So effort would be the only main concern with this defense because they have the personnel to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, especially at the 5 position.